Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
New York is making major changes to COVID protocols. The state will no longer require contact tracing when dealing with new cases. As Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst explains, this is causing some local health departments to review their COVID procedures.
This is a significant change in process.
On Tuesday, the New York Department of Health announced that contact tracing will no longer be required when someone tests positive. Going forward, the DOH will send a text message alerting residents of a positive COVID test and encourage residents to notify close contacts to get tested.
They're putting more of an emphasis on, quite honestly, on personal responsibility.
Darlene Smith with the Steuben County Health Department says the shift in policy will free up county health officials to do more important public health work for the county.
We'll do some additional vaccination clinics, hopefully be able to get a testing clinic up and running, and attend to some of a lot of the other normal public health work that quite honestly has been put on hold for 2 years.
Smith encourages residents to take the necessary measures to keep people safe after being exposed by COVID.
If you know you're positive, don't wait to hear from the VCC at the state level. Begin to isolate. Let your contacts know that they've been exposed.
Current COVID protocols can be found on the Steuben County website. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Governor Hochul is launching a new campaign to boost vaccination rates among children. The #VaxForKids campaign will bring pop-up vaccination sites to communities across the state. The campaign will also appeal to parents of unvaccinated kids through TV, radio, and social media advertising. The new campaign comes as pediatric hospitalizations have increased throughout the state. Staffing shortages seen across the country, from hospitals to schools, as the Omicron variant continues to surge. Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Healthcare is truly in a crisis.
As the Omicron variant continues to spread across the country, COVID hospitalizations hitting a new record in the U.S., topping 145,000, surpassing the record set last January. Hospitals experiencing staffing shortages as their employees are becoming infected, pushing an already overwhelmed system to the brink. The National Guard called in some states like Massachusetts to help.
This staffing shortage is the most serious we have ever seen.
Hospitals canceling elective surgeries as they see ICU bed shortages and wait times of nearly 10 hours in the emergency room.
Supplies for testing, supplies for treatments, supplies for hospital beds are declining.
Meanwhile, many parents are left wondering what's best for their children and whether it's safe for schools to remain open as this surge continues. The CDC and Biden administration insisting schools can safely remain open if they follow proper safety guidelines. Some schools, though, seeing staffing shortages that are making that difficult.
Have that backup plan for a possibility that your student may have to do remote learning for a short period.
And in Chicago, staff and students are set to return to the classroom Wednesday, following a vote by the teachers union to return to remote learning, saying they were not prepared to deal with the latest surge in cases.
It feels like parents are not being represented. It feels like the kids are, an afterthought.
Meanwhile, Pfizer says it could have a vaccine out by March that specifically targets the Omicron variant. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
And flight cancellations are piling up as workers call out sick from COVID. Cheryl Casoni reports.
Holiday flight cancellations are dragging on well into the new year. United Airlines becoming the latest carrier to trim its schedule as COVID cases are on the rise. CEO Scott Kirby saying the airline has about 3,000 workers who called out sick after testing positive for the virus. That's 4% of its entire workforce.
Airlines had a tough Christmas with cancellations. Now we're seeing that the spread of the Omicron and other variants.
Even with thousands of COVID cases, United says its vaccine requirement is working. Among vaccinated employees, the company has had 0 hospitalizations and 0 deaths. Before the mandate, United averaged more than 1 death a week. And United is not alone as it deals with delays and cancellations. JetBlue recently cut its schedule by about 1,280 flights, roughly 10% of its schedule, because of crew members getting sick.
Consumers are on high alert. I mean, we saw it over Christmas with the cancellations. The spike here could even be bigger on United. We're waiting to see for other airlines. But you have to have that plan B.
Cancellations coming as bitter cold weather in parts of the country has many travelers looking to book a sunny spring break.
Boy, come February, there's going to be pressure to get as many flights in the air as possible.
United says it has offered pilots triple pay to pick up additional flights this month to offset the shortages. In New York, Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business.
A community is banding together to pray and remember the victims of Sunday's deadly fire in Bronx, New York. More than 100 people gathering Tuesday night for a candlelight vigil. Many thanking the quick action of responders for saving countless lives. The fire killed 8 children and 9 adults, leaving dozens more injured. Officials confirmed the fire was started from a malfunctioning space heater on the 3rd floor. The investigation is now focused on a door that should have closed automatically, but did not. President Biden says he's not sitting back on voting rights legislation any longer. Now, Democrats in the Senate are moving forward. Lauren Blanchard is on Capitol Hill with more.
Do you expect he'll be in over the weekend?
Could be.
Senators could be facing a long weekend as Democrats work to pass voting rights legislation.
I wouldn't want to delude anybody into thinking this is easy, but we're trying to come to a place where 50 senators can support 2 bills.
Senate Leader Chuck Schumer working to rally his chamber to pass voting rights like President Biden rallied Democrats on Tuesday.
I believe that the threat to our democracy is so grave that we must find a way to pass these voting rights bills.
If senators won't pass the legislation, top Democrats say they must do away with the filibuster, a rule used to stall a vote and requires 60 senators for passage.
The Democrats want to rig the rules of the Senate so they can force through a very radical, extreme, dangerous, and scary agenda.
Republicans say the legislation gives Democrats an unfair advantage.
The truth is, this is not about voting rights. This is about a partisan political power grab, and they're just trying to dress it up and sell it as something else.
The problem for Democrats, Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, necessary votes, say blowing up the filibuster will lead to more division.
We need some good rule changes to make the place work better, but getting rid of the filibuster doesn't make it work better.
Leader Schumer says he wants either the voting legislation passed or the filibuster rules changed by MLK Day or sooner. On Capitol Hill, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The casket of late Senator Harry Reid arrived at the U.S. Capitol this morning, carried by service people with an American flag draped over the casket. Reid will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda as colleagues and friends pay tribute to the Democrat from Nevada. He died last month at the age of 82 after battling pancreatic cancer for 4 years. Reid served in the Senate from 1987 to 2017 and was Senate Majority Leader from 2007 to 2015. Still ahead tonight, teachers permanently leaving the classroom in droves due to the pandemic.
You can't fathom the physical toll, the emotional toll, and the financial toll. I know we'll continue to see more and more people not even pursue teaching as a career.
We take a look at the numbers and explain what this could mean for the future of education.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Hello everybody, it's Adam Bowles with your weather, brought to you in part by William Mattar. Kim has the night off for this evening. Check out the 24-hour difference, much warmer for tonight compared to yesterday. Almost a 20-degree difference from this time yesterday. For your Thursday, we're getting much warmer, back into the 40s, partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, maybe a chance for snow showers in the afternoon, but not much. Also another chance for some snow possible on Friday, getting much colder with highs back into the 20s. After that, get ready for very Arctic air on the way. I'm talking highs only in the teens and lows in the negatives possibly by this weekend. Get ready to stay very warm for your Saturday. But in the morning, not that freezing temperature. We are hovering around 32 degrees though in the early morning hours. Maybe a few snow showers possible, but not much. But then we are climbing back into the upper 30s, even the 40s possibly for your Thursday. Here is the forecast map, what's happening with high pressure. Not as cold, maybe a snow shower or two, but we're getting back to above average temperatures for Thursday afternoon. Normal high is 34 degrees, partly sunny to mostly cloudy with highs for most of us in the 40s. But for Wednesday night, for tonight into early Thursday, we do have a round of a snow shower or two to deal with, but not much. Let's take a look at future radar. By late tonight into early Thursday morning, you may see a couple of blues starting to appear. Here you go to the northwest corner of our area, but not much. Maybe a scattered snow shower possibly, but it should clear out by late Friday, and looking at more sunshine for Saturday, but just that dangerously cold temperatures we have to deal with for this weekend. Here's tonight's forecast as a recap. Normal lows 25, most of us in the upper to mid 20s all across the board, mostly cloudy, maybe a snow shower possible, but most of us above average near 42 degrees for a high. So a chance for snow, then cloudy with a high of 41 degrees, back into the 20s at night for Thursday night. We're getting much colder on Friday, maybe some more snow showers possible and colder with a high of 28. And then after that, dangerously cold temperatures. Be prepared to deal with this extremely Arctic air. A high of 12 on Saturday, mostly cloudy, lows in the negatives. Be sure to stay very warm, especially for Saturday night. We're back into the 20s on Sunday. More snow showers possible for Martin Luther King Day with a high of 32. Back to more milder conditions by early next week, and also drier by Tuesday and Wednesday as well.
Many teachers are leaving the classroom permanently. Few industries have faced the negative effects of the pandemic quite like education. Rich Edson looks at what the numbers are telling us.
A superintendent in Boston had to teach a fourth grade class. New Mexico is working to raise salaries, and school boards are cutting standards and increasing pay. School districts across the country are reporting major teacher shortages, full-time and substitute, as the Great Resignation hits education.
I'm not a teacher anymore. Goodbye and good riddance. Woo!
I have been so unhappy. It's unfair to me and it's unfair to the students in my class.
I quit teaching. Yesterday was my last day. It was very bittersweet. More sweet than better, though, I will say that.
The Department of Labor says in November there were 320,000 job openings in local education. A year ago, there were fewer than 210,000. And there are also concerns as teachers leave, there may be fewer interested in education. Beth Philemon spent a decade as a choral teacher in Tennessee and North Carolina. She left the classroom 2.5 years ago to earn a master's in business, and says this pandemic only made a bad situation worse.
You can't fathom the physical toll, the emotional toll, and the financial toll. I know we'll continue to see more and more people not even pursue teaching as a career.
One expert says there have been unfounded warnings about mass teacher shortages before, and concerns about large-scale exits now may also be exaggerated.
We now have empirical evidence to suggest that teacher attrition was actually lower in the first year to the second year of the pandemic than it had been in the year prior. So the shortage that was discussed did not pan out.
Some experts say any teacher shortage would be worst in specific hard-to-fill areas, like special education. Also, those Labor Department numbers show an increase in hiring in state and local education from the same point a year ago, perhaps showing teachers are leaving one school district to only work in another.
A man in California has hit the century mark for donating blood. Tuesday, David Carroll donated his 100th gallon of blood. He donates platelets regularly every 2 weeks, which means he's donated more than 500 times. For reference, the average adult human body holds about 1.5 gallons of blood. Carroll says the number of gallons isn't as important as the number of lives he's helped save.
The whole point, of being able to give is that it helps somebody else live. Because if we can't manufacture the stuff, it's got to give it to somebody, and not everybody can give, and those who can are not always available to give. So the few that can, we get to save lives, and that's part of the whole thing.
Carroll's milestone comes as the American Red Cross says donations for blood are in critical need across the nation. If you're interested in donating, visit redcross.org to find a blood drive or book an appointment. During a hearing before the Senate Banking Committee on Tuesday, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says he expects a series of interest rate hikes this year as inflation threatens the economic recovery. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with more on Powell's remarks.
Today, the economy is expanding at its fastest pace in many years.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is forecasting changes to monetary policy, saying the country no longer needs the economic support it received when the pandemic hit 2 years ago. Inflation now top of mind for Powell, lasting longer than what some economists had expected.
If things develop as expected, we'll be normalizing policy, meaning we're going to end our asset purchases in March, meaning we'll be raising rates over the course of the year.
Workers have seen their wages go up, but higher prices for items like food and gas, which Powell has blamed in part to supply chain disruptions, are eating into those gains. Powell warns inflation can threaten the job market too, reflected in slow hiring in November and December.
We can see that participation is moving only very slowly. And to get a long expansion, we're going to need price stability.
The Omicron variant is also disrupting the labor market. Businesses and hospitals nationwide are now struggling with staffing shortages, with more people getting sick. To make sure hospitals have enough staff, California, for instance, is now issuing new guidelines, eliminating quarantine for asymptomatic healthcare workers with COVID-19.
We're here to work. However, I think it's unethical to put vulnerable patients' life on the line to gamble that we don't pass the pathogen to them.
Ahead of a key inflation report to be released on Wednesday, some economists and the White House are predicting that prices once again climbed higher in December.
Shortages are growing at grocery stores across the country in what seems like flashbacks from the start of the pandemic. More and more chain stores are facing problems with keeping their shelves full due to the swath of new cases from Omicron and severe weather across the nation, causing manufacturing and supply chain issues. This all comes as the U.S. logged almost 1.5 million new positive cases at the start of the week. Watches these days can do many things, but one service is going away. According to reports from consumers, rideshare company Uber is shutting down their app on Apple Watch. Users who access the app on their watches nowadays will see a prompt telling them to use the app on their smartphones. Previously, the app had the ability for watch wearers to hail rides from their wrists. A Colorado woman was getting ready to leave work for a baby shower when her own baby just couldn't wait. Her co-workers helped her give birth. Carly Moore spoke to the woman and her co-workers about this incredible birth story.
5 pounds, 9 ounces.
This tiny bundle of joy.
Never in a million years. Felt like it was in a movie.
Just 2 days old, already has the story of a lifetime.
I called my husband and was like, I think that these are real contractions at this point. They're not Braxton Hicks anymore. I'm pretty sure I'm going into labor.
You see, Jaleisha was at work at the Car Hub Auto Sales office in Lakewood when her co-workers unexpectedly became part of her birth story.
It happened quick. A lot of screaming and a lot of, I don't want to say anger, but pain going on. But, a lot of it was on my end, just remaining calm, trying to keep her calm and trying to keep her breathing.
We didn't have any towels. We're a business. We're not in the business of babies.
Baby Jersey here is tiny, little, but healthy.
I'm just very grateful that there was no complications.
There are so many things that could happen in that situation, and everything happened perfectly, very quickly.
Back at home, the mom of two is thankful for her coworkers.
He stood up and did what he had to do and helped me out, and I really appreciate it because I don't know if she would have been okay if he hadn't.
Mom, Dad,
She's doing great.
and the Car Hop crew won't soon forget.
I mean, I might not put this on my resume, but on my resume of life, it certainly will be a story I will tell my kids, my grandkids.
I don't know where this fits on a resume, but I'm gonna lock it away and hold it as like one of my most treasured memories.
Well, we want to leave you with a smile tonight. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe your favorite football team? Well, then you're going to want to chomp down on these new Grown in Glory potato chips. Lay's is growing champion bags of potato chips using dirt from each National Football League team's field to grow potatoes and create branded bags of chips. Every team except the Browns, Broncos, and Bengals now have bags of chips that are grown from the soil where hundreds of historic plays were made. Be part of the action by claiming one of your favorite team's chips. 200 bags were made for each team. Fans can win them by keeping an eye on Lay's Twitter page for updates. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.